On this week's episode of the WNP podcast, make some room for the big boys. Stay tuned. Episode 139 of the We're Not Professionals podcast. I'm your host, Mike Mitchelson, and joining me today, as always, my co-host, Chase Crawshaw. Chase, you're here. How you doing?
I'm doing swell. Thank you for asking. It's good to be back. It's been, I don't know, it feels like forever, but
3 weeks?
Yeah, like 2-3 weeks. I don't know. That since I've been here, but now I'm here. I got my sling on. I got my pillow supporting my arm. Still not very comfortable, but I'm making do. How are you?
I am doing great, and it feels great to be back here. I mean, we talked about doing this episode for quite some time.
Yes,
That's for sure.
We have.
Today's episode is going to be focusing on the top offensive linemen and top interior defensive linemen in this upcoming NFL draft. And, it's been a while. We've had some time to do some research, so if we're not ready, then
I haven't done zero research.
Oh, okay. That's very good then. So I'm excited to get into that, and we're also going to be talking about a recent trade that happened in the NFL. Going to be going over the new schedule and everything because we are only 3 weeks. I think 3 weeks away from the NFL draft, or at least when this episode comes out.
Yes,
we're like 3 weeks and 1 day off from the NFL draft as we're recording, but
can't wait.
It's going to be fun. I'm glad we're back. It's been a while. I'm excited to talk football. We've continued to do Bolts broadcast. Hasn't been in person. Today's was the first in-person episode, so I'm ready for that, or was excited about that. It went well, and now we get to go to WNP.
Yes, sir. And, I've really been really excited for this one because I've been waiting to talk about these rankings for quite a while. I think I might get a little bit of heat for my O-line rankings. I was telling you before. I don't know, but I'm in the business of being correct than in the business of
I wouldn't say that.
Of being chalk. So
what's today? Tuesday? No, today's Wednesday.
Yeah, today's Wednesday, my dude.
Dude, my calendar is saying that today's the 6th.
It is the 6th.
Well, my calendar says Wednesday is the 7th.
Are you in 2022? Are you in April?
Oh, no, this is 2021. Why is my computer calendar on 2021?
I don't know.
Okay. Anyways, let's talk about the future plans of the WNP podcast and what's going to be happening. So, this episode will release April 7th, Thursday. Our next episode, which is going to be Edge and Linebacker, will be releasing on Thursday, April 14th. Then we have another episode coming out on Monday, the 18th, correct?
Yes.
Monday, the 18th of April is going to be our final positional rankings. That'll be our defensive backs. We're not going to be doing kickers. We're not going to be doing punters.
We didn't do them last year, and I really feel like we should do them this year, though.
I don't.
16 punters.
The top 16 punters.
Yes.
And the top one kicker.
Yes, because there's only one, it's Jake Moody.
Okay. And then Thursday, April 21st is going to be our mock draft. That'll be a week before the actual draft. And then we're thinking sometime before the actual draft. Right now it's slated in for Monday, April 25th. Who knows? Might move to the 26th or the 27th, but it will come out before the draft. We're going to do NFL Draft My Guys. So we're going to put everything in on certain guys. We're going to say who we think is going to hit no matter what. And then we can look back on it and say, wow, we were so right. So,
I mean, that's what I'm doing for the 2020 draft, and what I'm doing for the 2021 draft so far.
So,
except for one player. Trey Lance looked great. The only one player I'm talking right now is Chaz Surratt, who didn't really get in the field this year.
Trey Lance looked great as he sat behind Jimmy Garoppolo. Okay.
Trey Lance.
All right. Interesting take. Gotta say.
Hot take. Trey Lance, Offensive Player of the Year this year.
You want to put money on it? I'll put money on that.
I'll give you $5 if I'm wrong. Give me 20 if I'm right.
No.
You're not going to give me odds on that?
No, I'm not going to give you odds. I'm not a... Does it look like I'm a casino? No.
You look like a Bucky.
No.
You're wearing Red Sox apparel, in Boston. They got a lot of bookies out there.
Maybe. Got a lot of World Series over there, too. World Series championships.
Who cares about baseball?
How about it?
I can't care about baseball now, I guess, though, because I'm in that fantasy league.
Yeah. Except you're a Tigers fan.
Dude, my team in that league is something else. We're going very off topic here today. It's okay. But my hitting, like I put my team into Fantasy Pros, kind of see how it grades. My hitting is just like off the charts. Nobody even comes close to how good my hitting is. And then my pitching is like 9th out of 10th in the league.
Johnny's told me that Fantasy Pros is losing a lot of people, and he's not as much of a fan anymore.
Yeah, football they are. Baseball they're not. Their baseball does pretty good.
I don't know their baseball.
Me neither. But I've always seen like the baseball stuff pop up on my timeline and stuff, and it's the same people that it's been for the last couple seasons pretty much. So so that's neat. So I'm willing to trust baseball. But the only thing I liked about really I didn't use their analysis too much this year for fantasy football. I just mostly used it to try to they do a really good job keeping up with injuries and making sure like they notify me if I don't have a player. If I have like an injured player in the lineup and I missed it, like they notify me and shit. Like that's the best thing about their tool. So who knows if I'm going to keep it again this year or not? I don't know.
I'm not bringing back fantasy footballers. I paid for like a season off or whatever. And I'm like, look, I've been struggling over the past 5-6 years. Let me just try to switch something up. I get their premium package or whatever. Same thing happens.
Yep.
Like my teams just get absolutely screwed.
Maybe you should draft better.
It's like, it's just bad luck. Like
you got to be more risk averse.
I guess so.
Taking CMC, terrible.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I'll never take him ever again.
Yeah, me neither.
Even if Johnny offered him to me I'd take him for a third.
Yes.
If he offered him to me for the first overall pick, wouldn't take it.
No, I'd take first overall pick as well.
Might
be a hot take, but I don't care.
Ooh, hot take. All right, let's talk about the Eagles-Saints trade before we hop into our actual rankings. This happened just recently. I think it was Monday. Monday, April 4th. The Saints decided that they were going to go up, get the 16th and the 19th overall pick, as well as a 6th-round pick that was in slot 194. Then the Eagles, in return, get the 18th pick, the 101, which is a 3rd-round pick?
It's a 3rd-round compensatory pick.
Okay. And then a 7th-round pick, which is number 237. And then they also get a 1st-round pick for next year and a 2nd-round pick in 2024. What are your initial thoughts on this trade?
First, when I saw, I'm like, okay, they must be trying to get as much draft capital as possible to try to get a quarterback. Maybe they're going to use these 2 picks now and try to trade up, to the 8th spot or something and get, maybe the QB1, QB2 in their eyes. But from what I was reading and what I was hearing, sounds like they made this move because they feel they are 2 key starters away from being a true playoff team. So maybe that doesn't include quarterback. Maybe it does. I don't know. But I'm going to assume that they're going to hold both these picks, maybe try to trade one of them up or hope that a quarterback falls, then one of them that they like, and then they're going to go with whatever they feel is best, whether that be a receiver, a DB, whatever the hell it might be. I imagine them using both of these draft picks, or they're going to at least keep one of them and maybe move up with another one, but they will be drafting at least twice in the 1st round.
And I feel like wide receiver's got to be a slam dunk, right? Yeah. Michael Thomas, we don't really know what we're going to get out of him. Obviously, he hasn't been that guy in over 2 years, so interested to see if he can have a bounce back. But other than that, they really haven't found it at the wide receiver position. Some people, not going to name names, thought Marquez Callaway was it. Traded a 1st-round pick plus Jacoby Myers in fantasy. I don't necessarily think that worked out.
I can't wait for that to win worst trade of the year.
But I think they're absolutely going to be going a wide receiver. And if they do, he's got to be a top 5 pick in dynasty leagues, right?
I mean, as long as it's nothing like, nothing like a Jalen Reagor type of pick.
Yeah.
If they go and take someone that is clearly looking as a day 2 value in the 1st round, then maybe not. But if they take a Jameson Williams, if they take Chris Olave, if they somehow get a Garrett Wilson or a Treylon Burks or a Drake London, then yeah, even like a Sky Moore or a Christian Watson or a George Pickens, all those guys. So it's more likely than not, yes, but there's a chance that it's a no.
Immediately, you're already the number 3 target in the offense. Very likely could be the number 2.
You would be the number 2.
Jump Michael Thomas.
I don't even know. I really don't believe Michael Thomas is going to play for the Saints next year. Like, with how bad things went and how much he wants to be out, I really think that something weird and funky is going to happen where he's not going to play for him. So in that case, he'll be the number 2. And anyways, like, I know Michael Thomas gets a lot of targets, but the way he plays, he's like, if you can use him as a number 2 and have a true alpha on the outside, it's gonna be way better off for you.
Are you saying Michael Thomas is slant boy?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Last little piece of news today: the Buffalo Bills reach an agreement with Stephon Diggs, 4 years, $104 million extension. It includes $70 million guaranteed, which is the second highest and guaranteed, only behind Tyreek Hill. So,
kids, if you want to play in the NFL and you want to make a lot of money, sure, you can say, "Oh, I want to be a quarterback." Well, guess what? Every team has about 2 to 3 quarterbacks and 6 to 9 wide receivers. Play wide receiver. If I'm having kids who are playing football, they are playing wide receiver. I don't care if they're starting to get chunky and they be on linemen. I am making them hit the treadmill, and they are playing wide receiver because, geez, these contracts are getting crazy. It's a lot of money, a lot of guaranteed money. He's a talented receiver, don't get me wrong, but I don't know how this looks at the end because this is on top of his 2 years he still is existing, so this becomes a 6-year deal.
Right.
It's a lot of money to guarantee in that time for a skill position like that things could go wrong very quickly. I like Diggs a lot, and I think this could work out. If they win any Super Bowls at any point, then it works out, doesn't matter. But this also could end up being kind of ugly.
Yeah, I'm never letting my kid ever play running back. That's
absolutely
just a
not.
terrible idea.
If my kid says, "I want to play running back," I'd say, "Well, you can sit at home and not play football or play any other position because that's a waste of time."
Yeah, I mean, not many running backs even get a second contract. They have their rookie contract, and then they tend to fall off.
My kid can play. My kid, yes, that's fair. My kid can play running back in the NFL after he spent his whole career playing quarterback or wide receiver.
That's fine.
When the wear and tear on his body is so minimal that he could last 8-9 years in the NFL. Yes, that's fine. That's fine. But you're not growing up playing running back.
Or if he's gonna do like an Adrian Peterson type thing where he's dominant for over a decade.
If you're just ridiculously dominant and are a freak athlete and can keep your body in that kind of shape and avoid the kind of injuries that he did, minus, a couple big ones.
Yeah.
Like he was able to recover from them and do well, then yeah, sure. But that's such a rare breed.
Not really seeing it.
Gonna be honest, I don't see either one of us having kids like that.
Because they're wide receivers.
Yes.
That's true. That's a good point. All right, let's hop into some rankings, yeah?
Let's do it.
We'll start with offensive line. Finish the offensive category. Just rip it right off. Rip the Band-Aid off.
8 of them.
Offense no longer going to be on the board in about 20, 25 minutes. Yes, we do have 8. So I'm interested to hear yours. You said that this could be controversial.
It could be.
Let's hear it.
So, again, like I did last year, I want to predicate that this is just off of true talent. This isn't positional value. I'm not saying, because you're an offensive tackle, I'm putting you over this interior lineman just because, because of the positional value. In the NFL draft, it's going to matter. When I'm doing mock drafts, I'm going to, draft accordingly. But for now, this is just on true talent and how I think you're going to impact the NFL. First overall, number 1, I have Ike Mekwonu.
Oh, my gosh.
Number 2, Tyler Linderbaum. Interior old line, specifically going to be best at center out of Iowa. Number 3, Daniel Falele, offensive tackle out of Minnesota. Number 4, Evan Neal, offensive tackle out of Alabama. Number 5, Kenyon Green, interior offensive lineman, specifically left guard, is what I think is going to play out of Texas A&M. Number 6, Charles Cross, offensive tackle, probably left tackle out of Mississippi State. Number 7, Trevor Penning, could play left or right tackle out of Northern Iowa. The number 8, Zion Johnson, left or right guard out of Boston College.
Oh, wow. There was a name in there that was a little high for the consensus.
Yes, I know.
So we'll talk about that as we get there. But and interesting because Evan Neal seems to be generally the consensus of being the top guy, but you and I both have Ike Mekwonu as number 1.
And I've seen more and more of it changing to Ike Mekwonu because when you watch him on film, we'll talk about it, but it's
monster.
Completely different football players.
Yep. So like I said, Ike Mekwonu is my number 1. Number 2, I have, and I got to say, 1 through 4 for me were very hard to put them in their current spots because of the positional grades and stuff. I think all of these guys could be top of their position if they reach their full potential. But Ike Mekwonu was my number 1. Evan Neal, my number 2. Tyler Linderbaum, my number 3. Zion Johnson, 4. Kenyon Green, number 5. Charles Cross, number 6. Trevor Penning, number 7. And Daniel Falele, number 8.
So we have the same top 8.
We do. Just in different orders.
Do we have any in the same spot?
We do with Ike
Mekwonu. Yes, other than him.
Might
not.
No, I don't think so. Trevor Penning, maybe, at number 7.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
How about Charles Cross? Where do you have him?
6.
So do I.
Oh, okay.
Kenyon Green?
I have any. 5.
So do I.
Okay, I wasn't listening to you at all then, apparently.
So we just have 2, 3, 4, and 8 in different positions.
Cool. Start number 1.
Obviously.
Icky.
Ikem Ekwonu.
Sticky, icky, Ikem Ekwonu. Guy's just a football player. He just a menace of an offensive lineman. Nice size, superb athleticism at the tackle position. He's been a starter since his true freshman year at NC State, where he literally stepped onto campus and dominated. Blocks very well laterally. He's good on a standstill. He's good moving side to side if he needs to. He can adjust to whatever pass rush is coming at him. I really like his ability to recover as well, help kind of mitigate any damage. If someone beats him on a first move, he can kind of recover and stop him before they can get by on a second move. I just think he does everything so well and doesn't do enough even close to like average or bad, where like I think it's pretty clear this guy should be the number 1 offensive lineman taken.
Yeah, I think the potential for this guy is the top left tackle in the league.
Yes.
And there's some concern that maybe he should play on the interior. I think that he can play both at an extremely high level. I think if the team that he goes to wants to put him in the interior at a guard position, I think immediately he's a top 5 guard in the league. I think he's going to take some time, needs a little bit of development at the tackle position, but the tools are all there. My number 1 note for him is that he's a bull in a china shop. Like, the guy is just a monster. Easily the best run blocker in the class. Has a great pull and punch in pass protection. He is overzealous at times. He can be trying to grab his edge defender or whatever it is in pass protection and, just miss at times. And so that's a little bit tough. Mechanics are a bit raw, but he likes to pick up stunts. And the thing that I love about him the most is he's always searching for that next block, especially in the run game. Like, there's videos of La'el Collins where, newly acquired Bengal, by the way, but he goes and hits people and hits like 3 of them. Hits the edge, smokes them, put them on the ground. Then a linebacker, then a safety. That's the same exact thing Ikem Ekwonu can do. And I think that if his mechanics are just developed a little bit more, if he plays the game at a higher level when it comes to just reading the defense, because there is times where guys can pull a stunt or not even just go hard right away, and he'll be overzealous and, fall forward. But this guy's got such a high ceiling that he's easily the number 1 in my class.
That's fair. I think combined our 2 analyses is pointing to someone who is very worthy of the first overall pick if the Jaguars decide to go that way.
Ooh.
You can you can say Aiden Hutchinson right now is looking like that guy, like, it would make a lot of sense. But if they're gonna go another position, it's him. It's Ekwonu.
I would hope so. I feel like they might be more of an Evan Neal guy, but I would hope so.
That would make me so mad.
All right, let's talk about Tyler Linderbaum. He's your number 2. He's my number 3. He is the first interior offensive lineman we see in this class. He's a center, a little bit undersized for some of the centers we see in the league now, and when it comes to like general consensus across the draft board, but this guy is rock solid.
Some of the best players in the league are considered undersized. Aaron Donald's considered undersized for his position. And, Tyreek Hill's considered undersized for his position. Like, there's nothing wrong with being undersized if you're just a dominant football player, and that's what Tyler Linderbaum is. I see people say, oh, he could play guard in the NFL, and maybe he can, but he's going to excel as a center. He's, going to be great as the voice and the leader of the offensive line. That's what the center does. They are, at the end of the day, the left tackle may be the most important position, but the center is the leader of that O-line. And that's what Tyler Linderbaum is going to do well. He's just good. He's just really, really good. When he's taking on a nose tackle, like he's going to win those blocks almost every single time. If you got to throw him to the guard position, I'm sure he'll do just fine. With pass rushers from that side as well, rushing on the inside. But he's just going to be a guy who can start day 1, depending where he goes. He might go to a situation like I've seen, like Eagles, and they still have Jason Kelsey. So at that point, he might sit. But if he starts day 1, he's going to help a team immediately.
I think that'd be dumb too, because they got Landon Dickerson from last year,
yes,
who you and I were big fans of, and we think easily could move from that left guard position to center, which was his position in college. But nonetheless, the guy is phenomenal. Tyler Linderbaum, only 3 years of experience, which shows me the potential on this guy could be absurd, because he came in as a D tackle.
Yeah.
Came into college as a D tackle, came into Iowa. Elite center, great strength and understanding of the game. Might be the smartest when it comes to changing up blocks, picking up blocks, all of that. Kind of reading that the offensive line are needed to do. And then he's great in the pass and the run blocking game. Length's the only concern for him. But I think that unless you have a huge, extreme, imposing threat like a Jordan Davis, he should be fine. And I think he could even handle Jordan Davis. So
I agree.
See, he's going to be great. My projection, top 5 center in the NFL.
I also agree.
I guess we got to go to Evan Neal next. He's my number 2. You're number 4.
Yep. Go ahead.
So Evan Neal is one that I was very interested in. I thought coming into it that he was going to be the easy number 1. He seemed like a complete package. 6'7", 350 pounds. Just a giant dude. But I was a little bit disappointed in some of the things that I've seen. I think he's still got extremely high potential, and I think that he is the most number 1 day-ready exterior offensive lineman at tackle. I think he could come in and have a similar impact to like a Rashawn Slater. But the one thing that really struggles for him is his balance, which probably isn't great for an offensive lineman. There's a lot of times where he'll just get pulled forward. Literally yanked forward. So I was a little bit disappointed when I was seeing that. But overall, he's really good in the run game. He's very competent in the pass game. He reads stunts excellently. I just wish he was a little bit more aggressive like Icky is.
I agree. Which is what I say here. He does pretty well in like a zone style run scheme where he can be a little more patient and let the blocker come to him, or let the defender come to him. Where when he's got to engage in the block himself and be the guy, establishing that point of contact in more of a man blocking scheme, it's not as dominant. It's just more, kind of gets by. Balance is exactly the biggest knock I have on him as well. I really, watching film, he just seems like he's going to eventually be destined to play right tackle in the NFL, which is fine. But, if you're taking a tackle in the top 5, top 10, you're usually going to want a left tackle. It's just the most important position on the offensive line. Yeah, the right tackle matters, still helps in pass protection, still helps in the run game. But if he's going to, even have any questions on which one he's going to be, I'd probably want to, I'd want to lean Icky if I was going first overall for offensive lineman. But, to have Evan Neal at 4 isn't saying he's a bad prospect. I still have him as a very good prospect, as a top 16 worthy draft pick. It's still a very good grade. Still someone I think is going to be a long-time NFL starter. I just think he might be better suited on the right side.
Yeah, I tend to disagree with you there. I think that he would be just fine on the left side. I think he's got good enough bend to go up against the quickest edge rushers and the guys that are going to get in his face. Also, huge size, but really smooth when it comes to his kickback and everything. So I'm okay with him being on the left side. The only offensive lineman that I really thought would be better suited on the other side, the right tackle position, is the guy who actually played right tackle full time in Minnesota. Which, why don't we get to him, because he's your number 2 or your number 3?
Yeah, which this came out of nowhere. Like I did not expect to have him rated this high, and a big reason is I think he has true top 3 to 5 tackle in the league ceiling, and he's still pretty new to the position. Former rugby player. He's only been a 3-year, college starter. Like he hasn't played football for very long, but he's been pretty dominant almost the whole way. Gifted athlete, freakish size. He's gonna play a lot more just naturally than technically, which sometimes that can be an issue with offensive linemen. It's good to have the mechanics and good to have the technical abilities, but he's just a strong enough dude where he can just kind of do it more naturally and kind of how it comes to him. I think that he's got to go to the right team that can develop an offensive lineman pretty well. I don't know. I don't have a specific fit in mind. I do agree right tackle is probably where he fits in, but he could even, if you need him to, I think he could, adapt to left tackle because this guy's still got so much room to grow in his game. I think there's a legitimate, top 5 tackle in the league potential.
Yeah, he's absolutely gigantic, and I was surprised how smooth he was with his kickback and everything. I would be a little bit concerned putting him against the likes of a TJ Watt as of right now. Obviously, TJ Watt can probably destroy anyone as of right now, but I think Daniel Falele definitely has a little bit more room to grow. He's raw. A lot of the times I've actually seen his hands can be pretty sporadic. If someone gets into his chest early, then he's kind of all over the place. But he's really strong. And at the next level, I have him as a premier right tackle.
So what I have, the type of offense I really think he's going to thrive in is a true RPO like base offense, where that initial contact is really what matters. You got to get that first block off, and as long as you maintain that first block, your team is at that point handing the ball off or making the pass, and you can adjust from there. I think he would do very well in an RPO offense. So what the Chiefs have been doing pretty successfully for the last couple of years. If they decided to take Daniel Floyd away, which I don't know if they will or not, if he's available, I think that would be like a perfect fit.
It's hard to see a 6'9", 380-pounder not getting that first block.
Yeah.
Not giving that first little punch. So, he's absolutely huge. He uses his size to his advantage. And this is another guy similar to Linderbaum who hasn't really been playing the game as much as some of these other guys and could potentially have just a ginormous ceiling, just like his frame. So,
yes, sir.
All right. Kenyon Green next?
Yeah, that's our 5.
Yep.
I guess I'll go. I got him as a versatile lineman. He can play any guard position. You could probably play him right tackle if you need to help out in the run game, but he's going to be better off on the inside. Just his size is just more built for that interior offensive lineman. If I'm a team, I'm probably going to want him at the right guard position. You can say, that's least valuable of the guard position, but least valuable line position, whatever, it doesn't matter. A good right guard is a good position to have, where if you're designing run plays, he can be that lead blocker on a run, and he's really good helping out in the run game. So if you're a team that is looking to kind of succeed off the run, like what the Titans do, for example, I think Kenyon Green is just a great fit. He's more than capable in the passing game as well, but he really is going to be a stud in the running game.
Yeah, and Kenyon Green has a lot of experience on the outside, too. I know he's played left tackle and right tackle in his collegiate career. And I've seen some people say, hey, if you need him to play tackle, he can do that. I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't think his feet are great. I think he's much better on the interior, where he doesn't need to have that very long kickback that the offensive tackles do. But he is nasty in the run game. He's always looking to finish and then move on to the next guy. So this is a guy who, similar to Ekwonu, just not as quick and not as great when it comes to the pass game. So definitely an interior guy.
I agree.
Charles Cross at number 6. Let's talk about him. I think he's a pretty good offensive tackle. I thought maybe he'd be above Ekwonu before I actually watched tape. Wasn't the case, but I think as a pass protector, he's pretty good. He's really good at mirroring the defender, really solid strength, pretty good bend as well, super smooth, and I have seen that he is pretty good at learning from his mistakes. If a defensive player beats him once, they won't beat him in the same way, at least for the rest of the game. Run block could use some work, and there are times where he overcommits to the outside, where if they do a double move to the outside, back to the inside, he can get beat. But I think overall, he's a pretty solid pass protector.
Yeah, what I have, I think in terms of how the run game works and, trying to play on the right side, I just don't think he's good enough at the point of attack. Whereas, in a pass rush, the way that the edge rushers are coming at you, he's a lot, more fit for that style of football and for that type of blocking. So he's going to be awesome for those pass-heavy teams on the left side. Going to make a lot of sense. But if you're looking for someone that to really just kind of put your run game at the next level, it's not Charles Cross, and don't even bother taking him. Mm-hmm. I still have him as a worthy first-round pick, bottom half of the first-round type guy. Got a lot of talent. I think has some room, to grow still, and can be a pretty solid, stalwart at the left tackle position. I don't know if I see, top 5, top 10 potential in the league, but he can be a pretty good left tackle.
Yeah, and I want to go back to Zion Johnson now. He is your number 8, but he is my number 4. So I want to talk about him before we get to our final guys. Zion Johnson being an interior offensive lineman out of Boston College. I really like this kid. I have him above Kenyon Green. I have him just under Tyler Linderbaum. And this is a guy who is in the conversation with Ikem Ekwonu and Evan Neal for me when it comes to that top offensive lineman. I think he's a great run blocker. I think he's very good in pass block as well. I think he's extremely consistent and extremely smart, extremely intelligent. He's super strong for a guy who's not super huge. And I just felt like overall he did everything at a super high level over at Boston College.
I think he is a very, very well-rounded blocker and a very great pass blocker. Better in pass than run, but still very, very reliable in both. My only thing with him, yet again, still have him as a first-round grade. I have 8 offensive linemen with first-round grades, so all 8 of these guys are first-round picks in my opinion. my only thing is I don't know how much more his game grows. I feel like I don't see much more improvement in his game. I think he's just kind of there already, which is great, and maybe it translates better to the NFL than I'm expecting it to, but offensive line is a bit slower transitioning to the NFL, so if your game isn't going to grow a ton and he's just going to kind of come in, be a good starter day one, be that way through his whole career, there's nothing wrong with that, but it just won't mean that he's going to profile as one of the best guards, one of the best offensive linemen in the game.
I'd be totally happy if a 31st overall pick, Zion Johnson, went to the left guard position of the Cincinnati Bengals, was great from day one, and stayed great throughout his whole career.
And that's perfectly fine. That's exactly what he needs to do. You can't draft him being a guy, we want him to be the guy we're predicating our offensive line on. We want him to be our Quentin Nelson. Like, he's not, that's not what he's going to be. Like, he does not have that ceiling in him. I could be wrong, but I'm saying he does not have that ceiling in him. But he could very well just be quite good from day one on.
Yeah, I very well see him as being a top 10 guard, potentially. And I think that he's the second most ready offensive lineman, only behind the likes of Tyler Linderbaum, in my opinion. So that's why I have him all the way up at number 4. But let's finish it off with Trevor Penning. We both have him at number 7. What do you think about him?
So I got him as a blocker who can play either tackle position. Going to need a lot of work, but high level of play is there. You can see him do things really right at sometimes. You can see him do things really wrong sometimes. It's going to kind of be what happens with an FCS player. But I do think that there is enough athleticism and enough just pure talent where he can continue to develop and become, a truly solid blocker in the NFL. I do think he gets caught bending at the waist a little bit too much. Mm-hmm. So that's something that he can improve on. Then, it'll help him with his point of attack and he can be a better blocker from there. So you're going to have to put some work into him. He can probably start day one, but if you can bring him to a good team that he can kind of develop and, not have to play every snap right away, I think that would be better for him.
I feel like his mindset is right up there with what needs to be worked on as his mechanics are, just because he's so aggressive, and I love that out of a player, especially an offensive lineman. But he tends to just focus on one guy at times. He'll go put him in the dirt, and then he'll just keep him there instead of going to find for the next block, similar to what a Kenyon Green or an Ikem Ekwonu can do, put a guy in the dirt, and then move on to the next level. I don't really see that out of Trevor Penning. Also, he tends to take some penalties, and that obviously needs to be cleaned up a little bit. He's a nasty guy, and you like to see that on the offensive line, but maybe just a bit too nasty.
Yeah.
So I do like him overall. I think he's got great athleticism, and he's a big dude as well. So he's going to do well at the next level as long as he gets the right training.
And I got one honorable mention. I don't know if you do or don't.
I do not.
But Bernard Raymond from Central, is watching him at all? Really?
Don't like him.
Why is that? Let's hear it.
He's 25, and he still has a lot of work to do in his game. I have right here, lacks technique, power isn't great, leans a bit too much, feet aren't great.
Do you know how?
And he's 25.
He's the newest to the position of their position, anybody in this draft class, right?
That's cool, but how long do I have to wait? Do I have to wait until he's 28?
I don't think so.
I'm going to pass. If I got to wait until he's 27, 28 years old, I'm not taking him.
I have him as a just outside the first round guy, but I think he could start if you need him to on day one and, be serviceable. And if you can get him paired with a great offensive line coach, 2 years, he's going to have a very dominant, 3, 4, 5 year stint in the NFL, which
maybe.
Yeah, sure you want a little bit longer, but he's someone that is still worth taking a chance on.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. The age really turns me off, and if he's this raw at this age, then
ageist.
Well, yeah, you could say that. At least I'm not a hiatus like Jenny from the league.
Yes, that's fair.
All right, let's move into our interior defensive linemen. This is one that I've been very excited to talk about. This is one I know a certain Georgia fan out there has been extremely impatient waiting for. They've wanted to hear this episode for quite a while. We're finally here. The first defensive position group, that being the interior defensive linemen, the big boys. Let's hear your top 5.
So, number 1, I do have the Georgia defensive lineman, Jordan Davis. Number 2, I do have the Georgia defensive lineman, Devontae Wyatt. Number 3, DeMarvin Leal. We're doing top 5, you said?
Top 5,
right?
Yep.
Just want to make sure. Number 4, DeMarvin Leal from Texas A&M. Number 4, Perion Winfrey from Oklahoma. Number 5, Travis Jones from UConn.
Number 1, defensive lineman out of Georgia, Devontae Wyatt. Number 2, Jordan Davis out of Georgia. Number 3, DeMarvin Leal at Texas A&M. Number 4, Perrion Winfrey out of Oklahoma. Number 5, Logan Hall. Logan Hall out of Houston. Yep. I thought we were going to have the same top 5 again.
It's close.
Wasn't going to happen. All right, let's talk about the man who is getting all the recognition right now. My number 2, your number 1, that being Jordan Davis. This dude's an absolute monster. What'd you love about him?
So really, I've been seeing a lot more. I thought that he was going to end up being the IDL 1 for most people in this draft class, but things are kind of changing, and it's really not been the case anymore. I understand some of the questions, but I truly see him as just, a pure athlete, going to be a monster from day one in the run game. And I think he is quality enough in the pass game too, where he's going to be an every down player. He's just a pure bull rusher. He's going to command a double team in every single run play. Even on pass plays, you're going to have to consider double teaming him. He's showed that he's got enough speed. He's got enough burst where he can get to the quarterback. I really don't see where the questions are that don't have this guy at number 1. I just think that he's got like everything that you want out of an interior defensive lineman. Some guy, someone who can move kind of along the defensive line if you need him to. He can play more on the right side or left side if you really need him to. He can kind of operate that way. He's going to be best served as an interior D tackle, but I see him as long as his conditioning can pan out, because I know he didn't always play every down in Georgia, but as long as his conditioning can pan out, he is someone who's going to play every single snap in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge fan of Jordan Davis, and the only reason I have him as the number 2 is because I just think Devontae Wyatt's explosion and potential to pressure the quarterback is higher. But Jordan Davis, already the best run blocker in this class, or not run blocker, run defender. And I think he can get pressure on the quarterback. I don't know why some people don't think he can. Obviously, when it comes to both of the Georgia defensive linemen, the production isn't all there. But that's because Georgia had such a deep team. They were constantly rotating these guys.
Yes.
They were making sure they were healthy. They were making sure they had plenty of wind to go in those crucial moments. So even though the production isn't necessarily there for either of these guys, these are guys that are going to be very good at the next level. The one thing that I love about Jordan Davis, he's got a quote out there, 2 on me, 1 man free, which you got to put 2 on him.
Yes,
he's huge.
Do. Yeah, 100% you do, which is my favorite thing about him is it makes it such a unique chess piece in the defense.
Yeah, absolutely. 6'6", 340, and runs a 4.78. Oh, okay then.
And he can legitimately win a good chunk of double team blocks. He's just a hard dude to contain, which is why I can't see not having him as DT1.
I also don't think he's got the pass rush moves that Devontae Wyatt does when it comes to, chopping down the arm of the offensive lineman and spin move, all of the actual moves. He's got to get a little bit more technically sound there, but he's great.
I see upside as number 1 D tackle in the league, like safely.
Could be.
Like a very good chance of doing it.
Devontae Wyatt, let's talk about him now. My number 1, your number 2. Kind of like what I said. The thing that puts him over the likes of Jordan Davis for me is I think he's great in the run. Not as good as Jordan Davis, but he's still absolutely phenomenal in there. The thing that separates him in my mind is the phenomenal burst and explosion out of him. He ran a 4.77, which is only 1 millisecond less than Jordan Davis, 1 millisecond faster. But the actual burst and explosion to see him bounce off the defensive line and to get going into the backfield is something that Jordan Davis can't actually match.
If I'm not mistaken, his 10-yard split was like a 1.61 or something, which is a great 10-yard split.
Yeah. He's got insane explosiveness, can be a dominant interior pass rusher. I think he's got very high IQ. My number 1 comparison for him was actually a guy who came out of Georgia a little over a decade ago, that being Geno Atkins, who we know was very dominant from the interior.
That's fair. I can see it. Really, the only thing I have for Devontae Wyatt, different than what you said, because I agree with a lot of that, is he's going to get double teamed, I think, on most teams that he's on. And I don't know how many double teams he's going to win. That's my big thing between him and Jordan Davis, where Jordan Davis is going to legitimately win a lot of double teams, where the second you put 2 in Devontae Wyatt, he's not going to win them. Which, it's fine, because, again, if you are double teaming a guy, it leaves someone else open. Mm-hmm. So it's still a good piece to have, and it's still someone I have with a legitimate, mid-first round grade. But I just, I think there's just an unlimited potential for Jordan Davis, where with Devontae Wyatt, there's quite good potential, but I don't think it's quite as high.
And I want to specify here when it comes to the actual double team aspect, I think Jordan Davis wins double teams in the run game. I don't think he can get after the quarterback if he's getting double teamed, just because he doesn't have that huge explosion that Devontae Wyatt has. I could very well see Devontae Wyatt squeaking through a tiny hole in the pass game, but I agree. When it comes to double teams overall, Jordan Davis probably going to have an easier time, but specifically that point in the run game.
We'll see, won't we?
We will.
But
the thing I did want to mention about the two of these guys is I love both of them. Yeah. I think both of them should be top 15 picks in the draft. But Devontae Wyatt, the unrelenting force; Jordan Davis, the immovable object. And you always talk about which one's going to win, the unrelenting force or the immovable object. Well, Georgia had both of them, so yeah, not too bad. Let's now go over to DeMarvin Leal, Texas A&M interior defensive lineman. What do you like about him?
I've got a rare size athleticism combo at the DT position. He can play edge if he needs to. He played a little bit in college, but really he'll be someone that's just better on the interior. He's going to win with the speed and athletic ability rather than just pure strength, which nothing wrong with that. If you're going to win that way at D-tackle, it's a little bit unique, something we're seeing a little more in the NFL, so that's perfectly fine. But, the only thing is I just don't know, if it's someone where he's got to really truly try to outmuscle a guy, I don't know how well he's going to do. I don't think he's going to do horribly, but I think it's going to be, not as high of a win rate as some other guys. So as long as he can, get by athletically with his speed, he'll be just fine. Still have him as a first round type of prospect.
Yeah, I think DeMarvin Leal more of a late first round, early second round guy for me. And it's funny, you talked about rare size and athleticism for a D tackle. The number one thing I have is a 3 technique with rare size, athleticism, and strength. So there you go.
Look at that.
That really explains him well. I think that his actual mechanics could use some improvement, but a lot of these guys obviously need that. Going from the college game to the NFL, no one's going to absolutely dominate right off the bat. I think he's good against the run. Could use some work, but his premier spot is disrupting the passer. Yep. Even if he's not getting the sack, he's going to bring pressure, and that's always good.
He should be another 3-down guy.
Yeah, I agree. Perion Winfrey is next out of Oklahoma. He's actually the same exact age as DeMarvin Leal. I think their birthdays are only a couple of days apart, which is
kind of cute,
kind of fancy. They're also both 6'4". DeMarvin Leal comes in at 290, while Winfrey comes in at 292.
Wow, they're just the same person,
right? But for Perion Winfrey, very athletic and long 3-tech that lacked production in college. But the one thing that he really showed out is at the Senior Bowl. He was one of the better interior defensive linemen at the Senior Bowl. Really love to see him over there. Really good burst. I have him as a second rounder.
Yeah, I'm a second rounder as well. A guy that's like mid to late second round. I saw him, as you mentioned, burst. Off the initial burst, he can win a block that way, but the second he actually gets engaged in the block, it's kind of game over. He's not winning it. But if he can catch his offensive lineman off guard, there's plenty of offensive linemen in the NFL that he can get by. I think he'll be a solid D tackle. Someone that can probably, if you need him to play all downs, maybe he's just going to be, relegated, maybe be a rotational piece, but he is going to be a higher end rotational piece if that is the case. I think he's got some legitimate DT ability. I just don't know how high the ceiling is.
Yeah, I think if he gets developed well, then he could definitely be a guy you can see being a very solid defensive tackle in the future. But It's going to take a little bit of time. He's got to improve on his pass rush moves and everything, because that is where he excels at right now, is the pass rush, just because of the size and athleticism. But he obviously needs a lot of work.
Yes.
All right, let's go to your guy, Travis Jones, your number 5 out of UConn. What did you like about Travis Jones that puts him at this number 5 plus spot?
I really don't have a lot of notes on him, because just compared to the other defensive tackles, I didn't think much else was close than the top 4, and then this guy was kind of in the middle of the two. Just big-bodied, best used as a run stopper. Doesn't really profile as much help in the pass game, just kind of relegated to the run game. I guess if you need him out there, you can, because if there's no one else better, that's fine, but he's not really going to do anything for you. Just a good, solid run defender. I have him as pretty close to a mid to late third round pick. I think there's a pretty steep drop off in my opinion on D tackle.
Yeah, I agree. I've got him just as a big dude that's really good at stopping the run, but bringing pressure, not his strength. He's got the weight, that's for sure. He's definitely a big boy that can block up those holes in the run game, but I do actually have two guys above him. One will be an honorable mention that I'm actually really excited to talk about. Not like in depth or anything, but I do want to mention his name. But he did not actually make my top 5 because my number 5 was Logan Hall out of Houston. I really like Logan Hall. This is a guy that I actually watched after our initial rankings. So he was not in my initial top 5. I watched him just over this past week while we had some more downtime, and I really liked what I saw. Very athletic, a long 3-tech. Sorry, that was Perrion Winfrey. What am I reading? This is a guy who is also very long, and I see as being a 3-tech because he is 6'6", 283. But the thing that I really liked, very high motor, really good pass rush moves from the interior. I did see that he was getting locked up at times, which disappointed me, and that I think he can improve the lateral movement when it comes to the actual run game, because if someone's running outside, he doesn't necessarily get there quick enough. But when it comes to interior pass rusher, I really like it, and that's what puts him over Travis Jones for me. If you can rush the passer, that's more key than stopping the run, in my opinion. So Logan Hall just edges him out at that aspect.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I didn't watch a lot of Logan Hall. I watched a little bit, and it's like, yeah, seems fine. But then I just kind of moved on because it just didn't catch me enough to want to keep watching him more. Maybe I need to give him a little more viewing. But, just from reading a little bit of things that I've seen too, he seems like he's a flexible guy that if you really need him to play edge, you can play some edge too. Mm-hmm. So maybe I do need to give him another look, and maybe I can give him some more credit where it's due.
Yeah, I think he's a little bit more beefy of a... Who was the edge the Bills took in the first round this year?
Gregory Rousseau?
Yes. A little bit thicker of a Gregory Rousseau.
Interesting.
And then my honorable mention, I don't know if you have any, but Thomas Booker out of Stanford. This is a guy that Brett Coleman put me onto, and, we talk about him a couple of times on the show, but he's an elite athlete. Thomas Booker tested as a top 3 defensive tackle in this draft class at the Combine. He was insane. Also, just the knowledge of his game. Brett Coleman has a whole 30-minute interview with him, and like some of the stuff he says, I'm like, excuse me? Like, the guy knows the game up and down. Love to see that. And then I've got him as best at the 3 technique, great at reading the run and being patient. Wish I saw more in the pass rush. Going to be a captain one day in the NFL.
Yeah, again, I just... A guy that I didn't watch enough of, I guess, compared to the others. Him and Logan Hall. Once I started getting kind of down the defensive lineman,
yep.
I just really didn't watch as much. If he didn't jump off the page right away, I just kind of moved on. And that's kind of what happened. So I'll give him another watch. But again, I didn't see that part of the Brett Coleman video. So maybe I should check it out. But from what I was just reading on him to try to get a little more information, sounds like he's going to be a guy that's truly more developmental than most. So
yeah, I think he very well could be.
Yeah, if that's the case, then I'll be rooting for him. I'm always rooting for those types of guys.
Yeah, I don't have his exact age. I know he's a senior, but I think this is a guy who, like, really intelligent, can learn the game really well.
Why isn't it as easy to find like football players' ages as it is hockey?
I don't know. It's so really weird, isn't it?
It's so weird because hockey, it's like the first thing you find in anybody.
Yeah, out of the 12 defensive linemen here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 exact ages. So 5 of them without ages at all.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
So I guess it's kind of good that Thomas Booker didn't make my top 5 because usually I put the ages in the graphic.
Oh, do you? Imagine he's actually just like 37. Remember when people were trying to say Jordan Davis is like 26 years old? Do you remember that?
No.
In season? There's people trying to say that Jordan Davis is faking his age. He's actually 26 years old. Just like, shut the hell up. He's not 26 years old.
That would be something.
That would be wild.
Yeah. 22.2 though. So nice and young. Nice chipper young man.
Absolutely.
Devontae Wyatt actually pretty old in this class, 23.9. He'll be 24. He'll be 24 by the time the draft comes.
He's washed. Oh, but the 1 year older for Raymond, wow, he needs to just quit football. He sucks at life.
Well, he's extremely raw. Devontae Wyatt's going to come in and have an immediate impact.
Makes you think.
Bam.
I think you're just racist towards Austrians.
Bam. Is he Austrian or Australian?
Austrian.
Okay.
Yeah.
Daniel Falele is Australian.
Yes.
The Aussie.
Yes.
All right. Well, next week, linebackers and edge.
I can't wait.
Very likely. We've got more Georgia defenders in that one.
I've not started linebackers yet. I have done quite a bit edge, and it's just a good edge class, dude.
I'm really excited to talk about edge because we've seen so much parity when it comes to the actual edge number ones. Like when you see mainstream media, everyone's talking Aiden Hutchinson. But when you see like the Twitter draft guys, the guys who go into it really deep, they're still on Thibodeau. And then you see the Jags, maybe they like Walker the best. So I'm very excited.
Right now, betting odds, Trayvon Walker is the second most likely to go first overall.
Which is insane.
Yeah, and he is the most likely to go second overall.
Well, I said which is insane, but I haven't watched him yet. So maybe he is that good.
It's just crazy how much it changes in an off season.
Yeah,
they're not even playing right now, and it's changing. It's incredible how that works.
Well, hey, when you put up really good numbers at the combine, that's everything.
Yeah, he is a special athlete. I can tell you that for free.
Yeah. I do want to go over some changes real quick. You also made a change on your list. You talked about it last week or on the last episode.
Yes.
About how you dropped Kyron Williams to what was it, number 4?
Yes.
So I think at the end of all this, before the actual draft comes out, I'm going to make new graphics, put them up on the Twitter with our official ending list. But I do want to go over some changes I made really quick. When it comes to the quarterback position, I moved Kenny Pickett down to the number 3 spot, moving Malik Willis and Matt Corral both up. The reason I did that is ceiling is absolutely key when it comes to quarterback position. Just look at the AFC right now. If you don't have one of those elite quarterbacks, you're not going to make it out. Then we go over to running back. I bumped Ty Chandler, who was an honorable mention, up to number 6. Rashad White up to number 7. Kyron Williams dropped from number 4 down to number 8. And then Brian Robinson and Hassan Haskins all got kicked out.
I do got to say, the QB position, I've been seeing a lot more where like Matt Corral's people's QB like 5 and safely falling out of the first round.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say.
Kenny Pickett's my number 1 now.
No. I've seen so much Desmond Ridder QB1 hype.
Yes, I've seen that, and I don't see it.
Which I've had him at QB4 ever since we did the rankings, the initial rankings. I really like him, but
solid.
He's not.
But like, no.
Yeah, he's not as.
I don't want him in the Lions, so I can tell you that for free. And then I do. Do you want to talk about tight end?
Oh, I got to talk about wide receiver too.
Oh, I thought you did.
No.
Okay, fine. Go talk about wide receiver then.
Okay, so the only change I made at wide receiver is Treylon Burks moved down from 3 to 5. Drake London and Chris Olave passed him.
Because you're a stupid idiot.
So those are the only changes I made.
I should have moved a certain Georgia receiver to your number 1 spot.
He's still sitting number 2. I think that's perfectly fine.
Number 1.
And then tight end. Well, Jalen Weidemeyer kind of, did a thing.
Yes, he kind of did do a thing, and he is down to a day 3 value pick for me now.
Yeah, he is no longer in my top 4 tight ends. We did our top 4. He was my number 2 at the time. Then he comes out and puts up a 5.02 40 at the tight end position and a 25-inch vertical. Yikes. Like, that athletic profile is worse than all of the offensive linemen we just talked about.
Relative athletic score, RAS. If you don't know that, I can't remember the guy on Twitter's name, but like
Kentley Plot.
Yeah, so go check him out. He'll tweet out RAS of a lot of prospects, and it is very important for the tight end position. Believe it or not, it's one of the most important things. Like that position is one of the most important factors in RAS. I guess is how I'm trying to word it. And it's pretty ugly for Weidemeyer.
He got a 1.
Yes,
out of 10.
That is what set me over the edge. Like, all right, I'm finally knocking him down. He's a day 3 pick. Be cautious.
Yeah. So my top 4 now looks like Trey McBride, Isaiah Likely, Jelani Woods, and Greg Dulcich. How about yours?
My goes Isaiah Likely, Trey McBride, Chig or Chigo. How are they? Is it just Chig, right? It's
you can just say Chig.
Yeah, Chig Okwanko, and then Greg Dulcich.
Yeah. Greg Dulcich getting the bump up.
Yes,
and I think there's a couple more guys I want to take a closer look at. Like, I've been seeing a lot of Charlie Kolar hype. So I'd be interested taking another peek at him. But
he's solid, but again, I just think he feels like a day 3 guy to me.
So we'll bring out our final rankings and graphics on our social media platforms. So those will be out before draft time. But we're very excited to continue on into the defensive category with edge and linebacker next week. That'll be out on the 14th. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be a lot of fun.
And I don't care. You're going to have a lot of fun making this graphic, or if you really need to, I can help you. But once we're all done with these, I do want to do like a top 50 big board that I want to put out there. So if I need to make the graphic or something, I will. But I'm going to put it out there on the WNP platform.
Okay, sounds good. We can do that. All right, well, that's going to do it for this episode. We want to thank you so much for coming out and giving us a listen. If you want to stay up to date with all that we do and find out where those graphics are going to be, make sure to head over to the WNP Sports Twitter page. That's at WNP Sports Pod on Twitter. Again, at WNP Sports Pod. If you're interested in following our other social platforms, including Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, those links, as well as the Twitter, will be down in the description. If you're listening on YouTube, or watching on YouTube, I should say, if you could please give us a like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell to turn on notifications, and let us know who your top offensive linemen and top interior defensive linemen are down in the comments below. If you're listening on a podcast platform, if you could please give us a follow and a 5-star, we would absolutely love you for it. I want to thank you so much for coming out and giving us a listen. And as always, we're not professionals.